Imagine a small, peaceful village nestled beside a slow-moving river. In this place lived a man named Hassan, a quiet, thoughtful fellow who seemed normal from the outside, but inside carried a heavy burden no one could see. Every morning, Hassan would wake before dawn with a knot in his chest. He would walk to the river's edge, watching the mist rise and fall like breath from the earth. And every day, the same thoughts haunted him. He remembered moments he wished he could erase. A sharp argument with a friend. A decision he made that hurt someone he cared about. A chance he'd failed to take. These memories weren't just in his mind. To him, they felt like stones inside his heart, weighing him down with guilt, regret, and regret-born shame. Even when he laughed with neighbors, or helped carry a sack of grain to market, part of his gaze was always distant, as if tethered to something behind him. While others walked forward into sunshine and new opportunities, Hassan's eyes stayed half-turned to yesterday. One day, a little boy from the village, cheerful and unbothered by life's burdens, came to sit beside him on the riverbank. The child watched the water ripple, then asked in a casual voice, "Why do you look so sad?" Hassan was startled. Usually no one noticed the trouble inside him. After a long pause, he tried to explain in gentle, quiet words. "I'm thinking about many things I've done, and things I left undone. I wish I could change what happened. I wish I could take back my mistakes." The boy tilted his head and looked at him with a thoughtful frown. "Why?" the boy asked. "Does thinking about them help you now?" Hassan blinked. Then he sighed deeply, as though that weight in his heart pressed on his shoulders too. He didn't have an answer. In that moment, an elder, a wise woman from the village named Amira, walked by. She had watched Hassan from afar for weeks, noticing how he carried himself like someone carrying a heavy sack on his back. Amira approached them and sat down a little distance away. With calm certainty, she said, "Regret can feel like a chain, but it's an invisible one. You carry yesterday's stories as if they still define who you are." Hassan looked at her, confused but curious. Amira reached into her cloth satchel and took out 2 small stones. She handed one to Hassan and one to the boy. "Hold this stone in your hand and walk," she said. "Just walk from here to that tree over there, as fast as you can." The boy giggled and raced ahead, barely noticing the small pebble in his palm. Hassan, however, walked slowly, as though every step was heavier than the last. When Hassan reached the tree, breathless, slower than he expected, Amira asked, "How did that feel?" Hassan wiped sweat from his brow and replied, "It's not much, but it felt heavier than I thought." Amira nodded. "Now imagine carrying not one stone, but all the moments you regret, all the might-have-beens, all the questions of what if. That weight never stops pressing on you. It never lets you run freely toward what might be." The man looked down at his feet. It was true. The memories he held weren't just thoughts. They shaped his mood, his outlook, his courage to try new things. They clung to him like a physical load. Amira continued gently, "Your past isn't something to erase, but it isn't something meant to be carried around like a sack of rocks. Each of those moments taught you something. Let them teach you, not trap you." Hassan closed his eyes for a long moment. He felt the urge to speak, to argue that some things shouldn't be forgotten. But deep down he knew she was right. In his mind's eye, he saw faces of people he'd hurt when he didn't know better. Missed chances when fear stopped him. Days he wasted reliving old pain, instead of building new joy. That vision weighed on him more than any sack of stones ever could. He opened his eyes slowly. "What do I do?" he asked softly. "How do I let it go, when it still feels like a part of me?" Amira smiled, not with dismissal, but with understanding. "You start by forgiving yourself," she said. "Not for their sake, but for yours. Your past is a chapter, not the whole story. You learned what you needed to learn. Now put down the burden and walk forward with only the wisdom you gained." Hassan stayed by the river long after the boy had run home. He looked at the current moving steadily toward the sunlit horizon. He imagined the river carrying fallen leaves, sticks, all things that once were vibrant but now had joined the flow of life, and he realized the water didn't cling to what it carried. It let each piece move on its own. For the first time in a long while, Hassan felt something he hadn't felt in years. Lightness. He didn't forget the past entirely. Some memories still came uninvited, like unbidden guests at a party. But now they didn't have the same power to chain him. He acknowledged them with gratitude for the lessons they taught, and then gently returned them to the realm of memory, where they belonged. In the days that followed, Hassan walked to the river less with sorrow and more with intention. He began helping others without the shadow of yesterday clinging to him. He began trying things he'd long avoided. In the laughter of neighbors, in the morning sunlight on dew-tipped grass, he rediscovered the joy of simply being present. And sometimes, when the burdened sting of regret crept up, he remembered Amira's words, "Your past was only a chapter, not the whole book." With that, he turned the page.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the story, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories like this.